Visit with Zach Britton, who's already been rained out tonight. You were supposed to start at Aberdeen, and your rehab start got rained out. You got to be very anxious to get back on the mound in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I was supposed to throw a simulated game down in Sarasota. That got rained out. I had to go to Frederick and do that, but it seems like the weather's not cooperating with me, but hopefully we can get it in tomorrow night.
Well, the thing that's positive about this is that since you went to Sarasota, now you're back, there were no setbacks. Everything you needed to do, it seems you got through, and now you're almost ready to go.
Absolutely, and that's a big part of it, obviously not having those setbacks, but I was down there with Dave Walker, and he does a great job with the rehabs. Kind of took the plan that the doctors laid out, and we followed it right to the T, didn't try to rush anything, and I think that was for the best. It's not the easiest thing to do to want to sit back and have to watch the team from Sarasota, but I think it was the right thing to do, and I'm feeling really good now.
Well, in spring training, and of course, it's after you do a bunch of throwing, it's usually, an inning, maybe a day off, an inning or 2 days off. So do you have a program as far as how you will actually get back to where you feel like you can come back here and pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be almost a modified spring training schedule where you pitch in a game, maybe get 2 days off, pitch in another game, or in this situation, it's only going to be 1 day off now between my next outing. But that's what we're going to do, give myself a few days in between. That way, we can make sure the form feels good and everything, and hopefully speed up the process to get back with the team.
And then you'll try to struggle so you can throw a few more pitches so you can feel more comfortable.
Yeah, hopefully not, but you know how it is when it gets down there. You're just hoping those guys treat you nice and try not to hit you out of the ballpark.
Well, I saw you for the first time, and you said, "Hey, I feel like I'm actually one of the broadcasters. You've been watching so many games instead of sitting in the bullpen and actually preparing to come in and close games for the Orioles." You've seen the biggest, obviously the bullpen is, they miss Darren O'Day, who's been on the DL twice, and but when you look at the starters, and you have you were a starter. So you kind of know where they're going through. You went through some arm problems. You went through the learning pains and whatever. We know Chris Tillman, he won 16 games. We've seen Gosman pitch well. When you look at these guys, any suggestions to them? Because I know you've been around, you've done both kind of ththings.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of tough. Some of these guys have their routines, and you try not to get in their way too much as a teammate. It's more, you want to be supportive of them. But like you said, I was in Sarasota for a long time, watched you guys, watched the team on TV, and to an extent, I felt like it was kind of better being away from the team, being able to kind of rewind the games and maybe pick out some things mechanically that some guys were doing that I thought maybe they need to make adjustments and relaying that to them. But I thought at the end of the day, when you look at our guys, it was the confidence factor. It seemed like, maybe they were just a little tentative, maybe scared about walking guys or things like that. And, just didn't want the negative outings to snowball. And as you know, as a young starter, sometimes when you have a couple rough outings, it's hard to bounce back and keep your confidence at the big league level because these guys are so good. And I think, if anything, that's the issue right now, just maintaining confidence. And as teammates, that's our job, is to continue to support, the pitching staff, whether that's the bullpen or the starters. Being here now in Baltimore, I can, do that face-to-face, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do in the dugout.
It's good to see Ubaldo come back, and they get him a bunch of runs. It's one of those perfect games where he gives up home runs. Everybody's hitting home runs. There were 22 in that 3-game series by the Cards and the Orioles, but when you give them up their solos, they get them a lot of runs. Nice to see him be aggressive early on.
Absolutely, that was fun to watch in the dugout yesterday. We needed that outing from him, and you want to pull for Ubaldo so much. He's a great teammate, a great guy, and every time he goes out there, he has a chance to do what he did. It's just about being consistent like everybody. That's the whole thing about, for me and everybody else as a pitcher, being consistent at this level. But it was good to see him do that, and then to watch, Givey kind of graduate, I would say, into doing what he's doing right now was pretty impressive.
So Brad Brock, nobody really takes your place because that's how good you were last year. But he's been amazing. He's had a couple of glitches. Even in a bad year for you, you get 3 blown saves before you were perfect last year. Any tips to him when you knew he was going to be taking your job?
I tried not to get in the way, I think. Just kind of let him do his thing because he's been a premier setup guy for a long time. And most guys that are throwing those high leverage innings, whether it's the 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Most of the time, those guys can step into the 9th inning and do pretty good. And we knew that he was going to be fine. And there's a few times where he reached out to me and felt like, gosh, these guys take the best at bats of their life in the 9th inning. It just maybe a little different feel. But I told him that the best thing you can do is be aggressive, pound the strike zone in that inning. And that first out is so important. So make sure, if anything, you're ready to go right away and get that first out.
Now, you mentioned you really wanted to stay out of the way of the teammates. If they contact you, of course, you're going to talk to them. But what was it like for you in Sarasota? I got to believe it was somewhat of a helpless feeling because you're watching, you could help, but you physically were unable to do that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's frustrating. You don't want to be on the DL. Unfortunately, that's where I was, and Ryan Flaherty was down there with me, and we'd text each other. We were both watching the games, and yeah, it was frustrating. You feel for your teammates. You want to be there to help, and we weren't able to do that. So I would reach out to guys, Tillman or Donnie Hart when he was up here. Maybe some younger guys. If maybe I felt like I could reach out and just give them some support because I've been in their shoes, struggling, and things just seem like they're snowballing as a team, and it's easy to get down on yourselves. And I just wanted to make sure that they were all in the right frame of mind. And but like you said, it was tough to watch. But I'm glad to be back now.
Now, you mentioned confidence and how important that is for a pitcher, and Jim talks about this all the time. I realize it's just 2 games, but back-to-back wins by the starters. 3 in a row is the most they've won all year, and that's only twice. 3 consecutive starts to win by a starter. Can 2 games bring the confidence back? Best pitcher, most consistent pitchers going tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, you're only as good as the next day, who you got on the mound, and the pitching sets the tone, and we understand that as pitchers. You win, it's normally because you did a good job. You lose because you normally did a bad job. But I think momentum is a good thing. Confidence, if anything, that atmosphere in the clubhouse seems like it's getting back to the way it should be. But at the end of the day, if Dylan continues doing what he's doing, we got a good chance tonight.
Well, good luck with your rehab. And, I had to do it, over many years, actually, to play in my last World Series. Anything you actually work on? Minor league hitters are a little bit different. Everybody's... And so when you approach that, it's just pretty much go throw strike one, make sure you get a feel for your sinker, and then go from there?
Absolutely, yeah. Sinker is going to be the #1 priority, making sure I'm throwing that to both sides of the plate. I think as you get a little older, you're better at self-evaluating, and you can... what's going to work at this level and what's not. So I think that's my goal, is to make sure I'm evaluating the outing for what it is, and seeing if that stuff will actually translate to a big league game. But yeah, definitely sinker command is going to be the biggest thing, and then spinning some breaking balls and making sure I got that under my belt.
And when you get to Delmarva, you get to hang out with your brother.
Absolutely,
I made sure. Coach there. So.
Absolutely, I made sure Showalter put at least 1 trip on there so I can go down there and see my brother. But I'm looking forward to it. It's unfortunate that you're on the DL, but at the same time, I went through every single level coming up, and it's nice to kind of go back where you started a little bit and makes you appreciate being in the big leagues.
All right, well, thanks so much for coming up. Best of luck tomorrow in Aberdeen, and be careful. Those guys are going to be hacking.
Absolutely, thank you.